This is Margaret in Windsor. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been doing the tapes on mind control, my writing about it, and then being flown out to Larry Flint's because the person who shot him um, was programmed to shoot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd of 79, and April Fool Day of 80. I'm filled full of antifreeze and should have died. And a fiasco with what they did to me was unreal. In plain sight, I was carried across the state line to Huntsville, Alabama, and worked for the district attorney with my brain baked and brain damage and being told not to speak of it. Passed a background check. And I'm going to say that here's where some of the patterns fit in. I didn't know at the time I'd been kidnapped and brought to Moulton, Alabama, given the name of Peggy Dempsey. Childers, twins, a twin to Carl, both had been killed by their mother. I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace and brought there in that horrible, and grew up thinking I was illegitimate and called names like a pigsty. I wrote the book in 77, 78. And I ended up across the state line working for Fred Simpson. And there's where some of the patterns is before I found out in 83 my real name. Simpson, as in Wallace Simpson, was supposed to marry King Edward VIII, and he was supposed to have abdicated, and they became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Well, that's all one big lie. Imposter married Wallace, and my father was legally wed to American Catholic, Irish, Claudia O'Keefe from Grand Prairie, actually Madison, Wisconsin, and sister to George O'Keefe, the artist. So I've had my illness used against me. I'm allergic to chemicals. And I should be able to go out and live anywhere, but with the law enforcement and who's doing it to me, I'm still a hostage, for God's sake. They come in and, or if it's not, they come in and take over the management, or they get to the maintenance. So I've named them, and I have papers forever how long I live. I mean, I can't replace my lungs and my vascular system, and I keep the door open here at the Motel Quality Inn Airport. It's because it's so horrible in here, and it's gotten worse. The Sonny Shah, his relatives that own everything around here now, they came in about a month ago and bought it. It was bad enough, but when they took over, I'm dying. They've got stuff in the paneling in back of the crawl space here, and it pours out fumes, and they're saying, well, it's not really happening. Last night, my lungs, I couldn't even breathe in the night, and they're told to not change let me change rooms or anything. So I have to leave here, and they're playing, this may sound, because you're Americans and you don't want to hear it, you're a bunch of thugs. Now then, they're playing with my card that I have to get, what little money I'm allowed to have. They put it in another box and put somebody else's mail in my box, and they're told to, and they'll say, well, I guess what we're doing is illegal. This is out at Troutball. I've had a post office box out there for I don't know how many years out there, years and years, since 99, I guess. And if you show them a badge, law enforcement, especially if it's FBI or U.S. Marshals, they'll do anything they're told to. And everybody around here knows it. Huntsville, my God, Atlanta Journal, Cox knew it down in Atlanta. So if I sound rambling, well, you should walk in my shoes, because right now, I can't even get to my card at the post office. They play around with it, and I can't walk anymore. They've got me where I can't even walk. So I'm going to go back to the bit about Shah bought it out. The Shaws did. They own everything now. And I'm going to go back to 94 when I had managed to do a live-in. Remember, uh, I had worked for doctors. I worked for the district attorney. I had good background. And I end up here and can't find a job and etc. And I did a live-in and managed to save up some money. And I rented a room in 94, I believe it was, and it was in November. Paid for the month, and it was the Shaws. And about 4 days later, after I gave him the month's rent, he told me he was going to come in and paint, and they were going to remodel. And, of course, that just kills me. And in November, you don't do that anyway. So I call the cops. Well, a cop come up and said, well, we'll arrest you. And he pretended to handcuff me and everything. Well, he left. He said, you'll be the one that leaves. Well, he was right. When he left, Shah told me, the manager, stood there and said, we're Americans now. We have to do what they tell us to do. Well, Shaws are the one that came in and bought this, where I've been since January 13th, and it's been rough here. Uh, it's nice enough, but there's a lot of chemicals and stuff used. And they come in, and I'm just about to die, and they mean for me to get out, or they'll kill me and make it look like nobody's going to do anything about it. Um, so the Shah, S-H-A-H, is the name of the commander of the Malaysian. Uh, so that's just like John Lennon, British, I'm British, was killed when I was working for Fred Simpson. You get into patterns and timeline. And the USS Kidd going in, and the ship, and to look for it, and the Blue Ridge with USS Blue Ridge with William Marks. So you get into names, and it's done at a high level, so I don't know what happens to me. I die, and it's still covered up. There was a reason for it. I thought the reason would be that it would expose about me, and maybe I'd get to go home and take back what's been stolen from Great Britain, by the United States in the New World Order. I don't even know where my kids, Mark and Scott, are, but I do want to go back to the Gabby Gifford. That was one of them, Mark and Scott, the twins. She was married to Mark. They're astronauts, and I could go on with a list of them you wouldn't believe. By the way, I'll say this, and I hope I don't get Larry Flynn in trouble by telling the truth. When I saw him out there in 83, he said, I have the list. And they have done things to me here in this country in plain sight, just like they're doing right now here at the motel. The attitudes changed when they came in, and these people fear for their jobs. So these are people I've known, and they're from Roanoke, so they know what's happened to me in the past. I've had to live on the Appalachian Trail and freeze and starve. So these people are very aware here. And now that they're afraid of their jobs, well, of course, they're going to have their allegiance. They don't care if I'm a paying guest or what. So, anyway, I wanted to say this. Blue Ridge is the mental health. Is the one that killed Anastasia. I was driving Larry Flint's car when he leased for a year. It was in May. I made a mistake the other day and said March. It was May the 4th of, oh wow, that's in itself is a date. But 84, Blue Ridge Mental Health killed her, is exactly what they did. So they're using the Blue Ridge and the mental health, the Blue Ridge in it, and the Blue Ridge Parkway, where I've walked up and down in the hot sun and frozen and carried a tent when I had it, just to hope I had a place to lie down on the side of the road and not get raped or bear get me. I guess they do up there. They did. They walked around my tent at times. So somebody looked after me, I guess, if you call that looking after.